Well, continued legacy is very important for many reasons. Firstly, it marks 30 years of my father's passing. I come from a long line of artists. My grandfather was a traditional sculptor of repute in Onitsha, where I come from. He'd carved a lot of traditional images of gods, especially for the king of Onitsha, the Obi of Onitsha, and for those who wanted to commune and have a close relationship with their god or gods. My father is also celebrated as Africa's most influential artist or celebrated artist of the 20th century. And this, for me, continued legacy shows that long line of that legacy from my grandfather to my father and to myself. And of course, it's been 30 years since my father passed. And this venue is very instructive in the sense that it was the last venue, that's the Mall Gallery, it's the last venue of my father's major retrospective international exhibition. And so I felt that in celebrating 30 years of his passing and his contributions to our rich cultural heritage, Nigeria and of course Africa, I think it was very important for us to start it, to begin this exhibition, or to hold this exhibition rather, from where he left off. Well, I have most of my pieces here. I've created them between 2023 and 2024. We have the masquerades, which are in a conversation with my father's masquerades. There are two of them here as well. Fine examples from his over 60-year practice. The masquerades, as you know, they represent our ancestors. And when a human puts on a mask, that person is immediately transformed. I see the masquerades as the epitome of art in the sense that they embrace sculpture in the mask, they embrace costume, they embrace painting in the costume as well. And of course, the dance is like a performance. And if you look closely, sometimes you can even, in the paintings, you can even hear the drums beating in the background. So there's a lot of rhythm and movement. And the masquerades, are very important in Africa because, we believe in Africa that we belong to both the spiritual and the physical, that both worlds, exist hand in hand, simultaneously. And so the masquerades are representative of our ancestors, and they come out at daily periods, festive periods to celebrate with us. And we can almost never do anything without conferring with our ancestors. And I've stylized them here, so they're not just ethnographic pieces in the sense that they just represent or record immediately what I see, but it's very stylized. It's my own response to the masquerade from Onitsha, the Abogono masquerade from Onitsha. My father has painted them for so many. So that's one aspect, of the works. We also have the Bearfur series, which for me is my take or my sympathy towards what the Igbos are facing today. You could only see that maybe in the last presidential and gubernatorial elections in Nigeria, where we saw that Igbos were asked to go back to where they belong, and they were not really allowed to vote. Some of them were even violently disturbed from voting. And I think that art should also speak to shaping society. So that series of works, it agitates, against, that sort of suppressive behavior. And I think that art is not just about aesthetic feelings, but also art should be used to shape society and to speak out against the ills in society. Very importantly, you see some works like If God Were to Be a Woman, which is my take on, or my response rather, to Pablo Picasso's Demoiselles d'Avignon, where, he denigrated African women, he likened them to prostitutes in many ways. And for me, I'm reclaiming, that narrative, and I'm positioning the African women as things of beauty, the beautiful creatures, beautiful people, I'm celebrating their skin, I'm celebrating their blackness, I'm elevating them. And, for me, if God were to be in human form, to my mind, it should be a woman because of the beauty of the woman, the nurturing qualities of a woman. And if you look at what I have done, Picasso didn't quite understand the African mask. He removed it from its context, which for him was purely aesthetic. But for the African, the mask is something that elevates you into higher status, it elevates you into spiritual realm. And that's what I've tried to denote in my paintings, that in that particular painting, if God were to be a woman, that with that person holding on to the mask, immediately it's transformative. That person is transformed into a higher being, and so I have made the woman, deity-like, as opposed to, being grotesque in Picasso's famous painting, which incidentally, you know, for me is the hallmark of Picasso's art. Many modernists around that time who borrowed, a lot from Africa without giving due credit to the geometric forms and shapes of African art. So that's what I'm doing with that painting. There are many others like that. There's a conversation with Amedeo Modigliani, in that work where, the woman sits down and is holding a mask. So these are some of the paintings that you would find at the exhibition. At the end of the day, or in summary rather, these paintings, celebrate blackness, they celebrate excellence, they celebrate, they challenge stereotypes, negative stereotypes thrust on black people, all over the world, that we are indeed people that must be respected. We must be people that should not be judged for the color of their eyes or the color of their skin, their complexion, or for the texture of their hair. So this is what this exhibition, essentially does. Well, like I mentioned, they have been created from 2023 to 2024, but some of them, are a culmination. For instance, the Bell of Senegal, that, is inspired from the great American art historian, Black American art historian, Louis Jefferson. And it's a series I've been working on since 1999. So for me, the two paintings that I have here, in the exhibition is an epitome, is the culmination, of my experiments in that regard, for the last 15 years or thereabout. Well, the message I hope to send across is for Africans to learn to tell their own stories, because where you don't tell your own story and celebrate yourself, away from the colonial practices, then and to challenge negative stereotypes thrust upon you, then you'll find that your story is being told for you. So that's the message that I'm trying to pass on or convey through my paintings in this exhibition. Oh, many more exhibitions, many more paintings, many more agitations. Like I believe, um, many ways to show that art can shape society positively, and I can, deal with pertinent issues affecting Africa and the rest of the world, and not just to create beautiful paintings that you can hang in a home. But I believe that artists should be able to speak and shape society positively.